to talk a little bit about UI router, right, as an alternative routing solution that introduces a lot of new features that are not supported in the standard NG route. So let's first load the library, the Angular library, the core Angular library. So that's would be under. Am I in the right place? There we go. NG Angular N162. Okay. Now let's load the routing library. All right, so let's go up JS vendor routing and Angular UI router. There we go. Typically, we would load the ng route, right? ng route, the Angular routing mechanism. So Angular router, right? Instead, here we are using the UI router, right? That is much more powerful. Let's also load the bootstrap. So this would be link, href, go up 3 times, and go down to bootstrap. There we go. Oh no, no link. This is rel style sheet. Okay. All right. So let's create an application for this, and we'll call it ng app. This is my portal app, right? We would like to build something like this, right? A portal where you have a left-hand side, you have a right-hand side. So let's build something. Let's get started with that. Okay. All right. So let's put a placeholder div class. He's a container, and typically, if we're using the out of the box Angular router, right? We would make this ng view, right? And as we route, the content would be injected into this placeholder, right? Okay. But we're not going to use ngView here. We're not going to use ngView. Instead, we're going to use the alternative routing mechanism. So instead of ngView, there's a UI view. All right, the UI view is the equivalent to the ng view, which we've been using for most of our semester. Okay. Now in the new mechanism, we can name these things. We can give them names, right, and then refer to them. Right. We can configure what is it that we want to inject. What content we want to inject dynamically into a particular view. With the UI router, you can have many views, right, and then inject whatever content you want into each one of these views, which is much more powerful than just having one single UI view. Okay. All right. So let's see. So let's create an application. So this is script source, and we'll create it in app.js. Right, so let's create our app.js here. There we go, app.js. And let's create our first application there. So it'll be function, and we'll create it here, angular.module, and it's called the, what is it, portal app, right? And now we're going to have a dependency on that other library that we're loading, and that library is called UI.router, right? Instead of the, oops, what happened here? UI.router, right? Instead of the ng router, right, that we used to use earlier. Okay. All right, and we configure with the still a configuration. We provide a configuration function, right? Where we receive several configurable objects, right? We can configure certain things, right? If this were using the standard routing mechanism, we would use route provider, right? And say when this, when that, when and the otherwise and whatnot. Yes. Well, here we get an equivalent object, right? But we're not going to use the ng routers mechanism. We're going to be using the state provider, right? And state provider will allow us to declare on how is that we're going to navigate between different states. Okay, so this forces us to think about our application in terms of states, as opposed to in terms of URLs. Right? URLs certainly has to play into the picture because that's how things are represented in a browser. Right? Browsers still think in terms of URLs. right, and paths and slashes and whatnot. Okay, but that's an afterthought, right? More importantly, what UI router allows us to think about the application in terms of states, right? The application is going to be in any number of different states, yes? And during those states, as it transitions between the different states, it displays different content, right? So it forces you to think there's a higher level of abstraction, not the URL, right? But instead think about them in terms of states, right? And transition between the various states. Make sense? All right. So let's first create our very first state, and we'll call it the start state as an object, and we'll give it a name. The name might be the start state. And we can configure things such as at the start state, I want to show the particular URL. Notice that this is backwards, right? As opposed to mapping from a URL, right, and into a state, right, or a particular template that we want to render. That's here. It's a little bit too low level, right? The ng route way of thinking that we're mapping a URL to some HTML template. That's too low level, right? Here, UI router makes you think about it at a higher level. Because wait a minute, that's the reason there are URLs and there are templates is because you happen to be using HTML, okay, and you happen to be using a browser, right? But if you can think about it a little higher, let's think about in states. But then, obviously, we're going to map it to the low-level fact that you are using HTML in a browser, right? So this is a high-level state, okay? And then we map the state to a URL. Right? So you can configure whatever URL you want. Right? This could be my start URL, right? And we might want to render template my start state. Okay, my start state. And we configure this to be a state. We can say this is a state. My start is a state. And this is a URL slash. And then we can transition or put the application in that particular state. The application has to be in a particular state, right? And we can do that by transition using the following URL router provider, and say that I want otherwise. The URL route provider is very similar to our low-level ng router URL provider, right? So otherwise, I want to go to the state, the start URL. Okay. Let's see what else. Actually, let's take out the name here. Let's take out the name, and let's run this. Let's run this index file. Let's run this index file. Where are we? Portal. Let's see. Are we missing something? Console. Portal app is not available. You misspelled the module. What did I do? Oh, did I spell it wrong? Portal. Oh, thank you. Portal app. Ah, computers. I hate computers. There we go. So we're in the start state, right? And the reason we navigate it here is that says /start URL, right? That's how we navigate it into, and we activate it. We have activated the start state, okay? So navigating to a particular URL activates the state, okay? All right. So what I'd like to introduce here is the fact that we could have different views. We could say views, right? And for instance, we could declare a particular view. We can say that this is view number 1, right? View number 1, and we can have maybe several views. View number 2. View number 2, right? And that if we are at a particular state, okay, we could say that I want to inject into view view 1, I want to inject the following and provide a template for that particular view. Plant template, and this is view 1 content, and I can have a separate view. Right, view number 2. View number 2, and inject some other content for that view. View number 2, view 2 content, right? Right. So these views, right, allow you to target many different placeholders inside of a template, right? So if we go back, now, notice that we're targeting 2 different views, and you could have maybe the view 1 be maybe the left-hand side, and view 2 be a completely different side, maybe the right-hand side, right? And they could work independently of each other, right? You can have a .html that renders the left-hand side, and the .html that renders the right-hand side, right? So you can break up the same page as opposed to having just one template, right? That's what ng-route forces you to do, right? You map a URL and you give it a template, and that's the only template that's going to be rendered in that page. Make sense? Over here, it allows you to break it up into different portions, right? Maybe you have like a Twitter feed on one side, the header could be one view, the footer could be another view, the left-hand side could be another view. So it allows you to break it up into smaller pieces, all in one single template. Make sense? Right? You can break it up. Yes?
Is every state bound to particular views, or every state can modify the same views?
The state is bound. So, I'm sorry, what do you mean?
So if I create a new state,
yes.
Let's say state to URL.
Yep.
So can it modify the same view one?
You can. Yes. Yeah. You can refer to the yes, you could do that, but that's not the main focus of this mechanism. Where it shines is that when you start creating dependencies of one view with another view, like for instance, you can have a parent view that drives a child view, right? For instance, as you click different modules, the right-hand side changes, the overview, the lectures, the assignments change, right, as you iterate over several modules, right? So now you have a parent-child relationship, right, where you have a parent view that drives the content of some nested view, right? That's where it shines, right? But yes, you could do that. But if you start doing that, you basically go back to the original implementation where you replace the entire content, right, with some brand new content, right? So it's like going backwards and go, well, might as well just use plain old ng-route, right? But what this allows you to do is create nested views, right, where you can create dependencies between them. So let me show you. So let's have just one here, the root. Sorry, let's have the root, and in that root, what I'd like to be able to do is maybe call the state a course, right, where I'm going to list all the courses available, right? CSS, CS 5610, 3200, 4550, and whatnot, right? And the URL, we're going to call it the course URL, and we're going to target that root view, and we're going to inject there the following URL, right? The following template. It's going to be in templates, and this will be views, templates, and this will be course list.html. Okay, all right, and we're going to declare the course as a state, and we might have different states, right? Where you're looking at the courses, where you're looking at the modules, where you're looking at the assignments, the lectures, and whatnot, and you jump between the various states. Okay. All right. So let's provide some data to that template, and to provide data, we'd usually use controllers to do that, right? We're going to assign a controller for that template, so controller for that particular view, right? And we might so typically here we would declare a separate file where we have a controller. Yes. Here I'm going to take a shortcut. I'm going to declare the function right there, okay, as opposed to having a separate controller elsewhere. And I'm not going to use the model, right? That would add additional complexity. I'm just going to use the $scope. Everybody okay with that? Okay. So let's just send a hello to that template. So scope hello, hello from a course list controller. Okay. All right. So let's create this template, this course list template. All right, and it should be under this directory. So let's create it under here. Let's create an HTML file under there. There it is. And let's render here the hello message. The hello message. Right, so let's render this, and it didn't work. Oh no. Let's see what's going on here. Fail, blah, 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 blah. Do course is not defined. Course is not defined. Course. So name, maybe you have to refresh. Course. Start var. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no. So let's name this course. Okay, so that worked. And the URL is wrong. The URL is course, right? There we go. There we go. So hello from course list controller. Yes? So we are in the right template, and the controller is providing data to this. Yes? All right. All right. So let's provide some data, like a list of courses. And so to do that, let's maybe create a service for this, maybe a course service that allows us to fetch all the courses from a course service, find all courses or something like that, right? We don't have that, but let's create it real quick. So let's create a course service that provides us with data, right? So we say dot service course service that is we're going to implement down here, right? That is going to provide find all courses, right? Implemented in a function of the same name, right? So function course that's going to return a list of courses. So let's create a list of courses. So courses is going to be an array of courses. So let's see. Let's create 1, 2, 3. The title or the name of the course is CS 5610. This course, okay. And let's create just a couple of these. All right. And this one will be 234 and 345, and this will be CS 4550 and CS 3200. Okay, everybody good? And this function, the only thing that it's going to do is just return the courses. So up to this point, this is all things that we've seen so far, right? So this provides the list of courses, and it binds them to the scope. So in the course list, we're going to render courses. And that blew up. Uh-oh. Course service provided. Did I misspell it somewhere? Course service. Oh, course service. I didn't register it. There we go. Okay, we got the courses on the list. Okay, so quickly let's render that as a list, maybe as UL class as a list group. Right, as a line item, list group item, and we're going to display the courses here. So course, and then the name of the course here, right? And we're gonna ng repeat. We're going to iterate over the course in courses. There we go. We got all our courses on the left-hand side. Everybody okay? All right. And so we'd like to be able to have is on the left-hand side. Something that drives a right-hand side, right? So let's see. We could have these could be hyperlinks. These could be hyperlinks. That if I click on these, I'd like to show details about that particular course, right? So let's do that. So let's make these. So these are hyperlinks. And what we're going to do is perhaps on the right-hand side display details about that course. Right, so let's create a right-hand side, left-hand side, perhaps with a div, class, row. We'll create 2 rows. I mean, 1 row with 2 columns. So this will be column, maybe 3, right? So that'd be our right-hand side. and let's put the right-hand side over here, maybe 9. So let's put this entire URL on the left-hand side, even with the courses. Let's put that on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, we'll put a placeholder. We'll say that the content is going to be injected in here, right? We're going to say that a UI view will say that this is course, and this is details. Okay, course details. Notice what I'm doing here. Wait a minute, course details, like that, details. I am naming these views, right, and I'm going to dynamically inject content, right, by referring to that, right. So let's grab this. Let's grab this course details, right, and we're going to refer to that, right. As we click through the course, right, we'd like to inject content into the course details. All right, so what we need to be able to do is transition the application from one state of displaying courses into another state of displaying details about those courses. Yes? Right? So let's create another state. Let's create another state. Let's create var course details, and the name of the state will be course.details. Okay, and the URL will be mapped to the following. Right, it'll be /course. Okay, and then the ID of the course that I want to edit, that I want to show. Right, because it's going to be a whole bunch of courses. You need to click through each one of them, and it'll be driven by the ID of the course, right? So if you just give me course, I'll list all the courses. If you give me the course and the ID of the course, I'll display the details about that course. Make sense? Okay. Notice that the URL not necessarily maps to the name of the course, right? I could have them different, right? All right, and the view that I'm going to populate is this view over here that we declared here, right? Course detail, right? So course details would like to be inject content in here with the following template URL to an HTML page under the views under templates under the course details.html. So let's create that page, course details, new HTML. Right, and right now let's really quick put h1 course details, right, and let's declare that. Let's register that brand new state called course details. Course details. All right. All right. So we declare that. Notice that if I click on it, if I hover over it, notice that it's not mapped to any URL. Notice that we don't have a URL mapped on the bottom. See that? It's not displaying the URL. Right. Even though we did declare a URL. Okay. Even though we declared a URL for each one of these. To tie the two, right? To tie and say that if you click on this, I would like to transition from the state of just listing the courses. I would like to transition to the details state. Okay. To do that, we need to configure the hyperlink. Right. This hyperlink, we like to say, hey, if you click on this URL, if you click on this hyperlink, I would like to refer, right, to the following state reference. This S means that this is a state reference. This hyperlink refers to the following state. And the state is this one right here, course details. That's the state that I would like to transition. Transition to this other state if you click on this hyperlink. Right? So now if I hover over it, notice that now the hyperlink is tied to /course /course. That's wrong, right? Something's wrong there. Let's try to fix that. All right. So notice what's happening, right? The first course here, the first course in this URL, right? It's taken from the first state, from this one /course, right? The second one is taken from having appended this /course to the first course, right? And the reason this is happening is that notice the name of the course, course.details. See that? Right? That dot right there, right? and I'm using the same name as the previous course, creates a parent-child relationship. This says that this detail state is a child state of the parent course state. See that? That dot notation creates a parent-child relationship. So that's why it's concatenating this course over here. It's saying that this is a child state. So I'm going to remove that from there, okay? And I would only have the course ID appended to it, right? So if I refresh and I hover over it, notice that I just get /course /nothing, right? And the reason for that is that it doesn't have a value for course ID. It says I don't know what to put in there, right? You haven't given me anything, right? So to do that, we need to provide that value by creating a map and say, hey, that course ID that you're expecting, the value is the ID of the course that we're iterating over, right? We're iterating over 3 courses, and the ID is embedded in the object that we're iterating over. So right, so we're going to provide that value. So if we refresh and we hover now, notice that we do have the 1, 2, 3. See that? The ID of that particular course, right? Or if I hover down, this is course /234 or 345. So we're giving the enough information, right, to transition to that particular state. If I click on it, and nothing happens. Wait, what? Let's see what went wrong. Okay, so we did transition. And the view is course details. Is that what I called it? I thought that's what I called it. And is views in the right place? Views, templates. Is it complaining about something? No, it doesn't seem to be complaining. Let's see, views, templates, course details, and course details has course details. Let's see, did I call it course details? Oh, views maybe. Views? Yes. There we go, course details, right? We were able to navigate to that, and I can transition back to the previous state, right? And I can transition forwards and backwards between the 2 states, right? Where the left-hand side is the parent and drives the right-hand side. Everybody okay? All right. Okay, so on this, once we're in the course detail state, we can provide a controller for that particular view, right? We can say, the following function, again, the scope, and we're going to we want to extract this course ID and retrieve the details for that particular course, right? Different courses will have different assignments, different lectures, different videos. So let's grab the course ID from the URL. We're going to be using the state params, just like in route we use route parameters, right? In the ng router, here it's the state params, right? State params. So we can parse out the course ID from the state parameters, also called course ID, right? And we're going to send it over to the template for rendering. So on the course details, we can display now the course ID. So if we click on it, notice that if I click on this one, the IDs will be different, right? And we're parsing it out from there. But what we would like to be able to do is retrieve the actual course object, right? So let's do that. Let's add that to the service, to the course service, so to the course service, where we can retrieve the actual course. So scope.course, retrieve it from the course service, find course by ID, and we'll pass in the scope course ID, right? And we haven't implemented that. Let's implement that real quick. So this will be this dot find course by ID, implemented in a function of the same name. I'm only following these name conventions just to keep it straight in my head. So it's only a convention, right? So this will be function course ID, and it receives the course ID here. And basically we have to iterate over the array, or obviously go back to a database to retrieve this data. But for now, let's do it here. So return courses dot find a course so return course when course ID matches the course ID that I pass you as a parameter, right? And then render it here, the actual course in the template. There it is. So as I click through each one, right, we get the course object on the right-hand side. And we can use it as a title because notice we have the title, the name of the course right there. So instead of having this generic course details, right, we could instead just render the course dot name, right? So there we go. So we have the course name on the right-hand side, and obviously the object could have quite a few more information, not just a name, but we could have maybe an overview of the course, right? So some lorem ipsum something or other, right? Right, and render the actual content below this, maybe with a alert in alert info, and display here the course overview. Right, there's the overview for CS5610. I don't have an overview for each one of them, right? But you can have tabs, right, showing the all the various information. All right. What about being able to create new courses, right? So, for instance, being able to in the list, right? In the list over here, let's add here maybe a title list group item active, and perhaps add some header here, as in this would be courses, right? And perhaps like a plus sign on the right-hand side where we can create new courses, right? So we can say maybe a span here, span class Glyphicon plus, right? And maybe pull that to the right-hand side. And as I click on the plus sign, maybe display on the right-hand side an editor, right, that will allow us to type the name of the course and things like that, right? So let's create maybe a hyperlink that says hyperlink that is going to navigate us to the same exact spot that we were earlier, right? The details, but the course ID we can use maybe maybe like new course ID, and based on that, well, instead of displaying the actual course details, we display an editor, right? Depending on what that value is, right? So we could say navigate to UIREF course.details, or maybe course.new, right? A brand new state, right? Where we can have an input field and type the new name of the course. Okay, let's see. If we do that, it becomes blue. Blue on blue can't render. So we can style it to be color white. Right, so that if we click on it, we can configure this to navigate to another state. Right, so we can create yet another state. Var course new, where the name is what do we call it? Course new, right? So this would be course.new that has a URL that might be something like /new, and has the following views. So we're going to inject into course details. We might inject a template. Can't type. Template URL that goes into the views. Templates course-new.html. All right, and in there we could have perhaps an input field where you can type information about that particular course. So it might be course-new.html. Right, you could have an input field that displays the name of a course that you can type in. Right. So this would be H1 new course. Let's see if we can. No, it didn't work at the first time. Course new. Did we create that course new? We probably didn't declare it. We declared it, but we never registered it. Right, there it is. We're going to register it. Course new. Course new. Let's see. Almost. Oh, you know what? It's getting confused with this course ID. All right, so let's create here new / course. Course new. Okay. There we go. So it goes to new course, right? So it goes to a completely different view, right? If you type here, it gives you the details of that particular course. If you click on plus, it navigates to a completely different page. Again, this would be so much more complicated, right, to accomplish using with ng wrap. Right? You would have all sorts of ng ifs, ng show, right, where you show displaying different things depending on that, driven by that URL. Here, right, creating this parent-child relationship, formalizes, right, the fact, this design pattern of having nested views inside of nested views, which is very, 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 very powerful. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. I'll be in my office for about an hour or so if you want to chat. All right? Thank you.